And it is the Saturday Coffee Klatch with Heather Lofthouse and yours truly, Robert Reich, for a special end of the year Coffee Klatch. Heather, it's been a hell of a year. 2025 will go down in history as what? The worst? No, the worst in recent memory.
Yeah, really horrific on many levels.
I'm so eager to see 2026 begin. I started to say that I was eager for 2026, and I realized that we don't have any basis for assuming that 2026 is going to be better.
Oh, I thought you were going to say it's going to happen.
Well, it will happen.
I think that's going to happen. No, I don't know if it'll be better, but I think we have to take stock and keep moving forward.
And a deep breath.
And a deep breath.
And have you been meditating?
Not enough. But I did have some people write in after we talked about meditating and they said, you all should be doing it.
Well, I have been doing it, or at least trying to do it. Not often enough and not long enough. It's very difficult. But it is one of the techniques, actually the best technique for dealing with the scourge of Donald Trump.
Tell us.
Is political activism. Mm-hmm. Activism. We'll get into it. So I think what we want, first of all, we got so many questions from people across the board. We got them in YouTube and on Substack and on Blue Sky and by email. So thank you all for being such a highly engaged, excited, committed, strong group of people for us to be clutching with. I want to add to that. I mean, it's because of you that this conversation every Saturday really works. It's because of you that we are encouraged to continue. It's because of you that we are in a dialogue, not just with us and not just with Katie and Vish and Michael and other people that occasionally from Inequality Media, Civic Action join us, but also in a dialogue very much with you. This is our community. You are part of our community.
I looked it up, and our first Coffee Klatch was March 20th,
what
2022.
Year? 1952?
Yeah, 1952.
Wow.
2022.
2022.
Have people been here since the beginning? We should also real quick give a shout out to Mr. Kaup, K-A-U-P, his first name is Corey. So Corey Kaup.
Corey Kaup, really, shout out to you.
For what are we shouting out? So he produced Deirdre Broderick, and they do our theme song.
Oh.
Remember in the
Corey
early
and
days?
Deirdre, thank you. Thank you for the theme song.
This has all been an experiment.
We're not ending anything. This is just a matter of shouting out and thanking people. And this was more than this year. This was a couple of years ago. This was
I know.
When we
so
began.
They did our theme song. We said, does anyone want to write us a theme song? They did. It's so terrific. But so we have a whole bunch of questions. I have some questions for you.
I have some questions for you.
You do.
Yes.
And then also I want to ask other people questions, at the end, kind of launch us into 2026. But I think the goal today is to reckon with the horrible cruelty that surrounds us.
Yeah, I'm a little bit schizophrenic when it comes to dealing with this year. I'm going to be absolutely upfront about it because on the one hand, I can very easily find myself in the depths of despair. And yet I also feel very hopeful. I mean, I find myself wavering between the two. And I'm sure that all of you are, it's such an emotional reality. It's so, what has happened, Heather, and all of you know, is so cruel. It is so baseless. It is so against the traditions and ideals that we were born with. And a lot of people out there, I know a lot of you feel helpless and powerless. And believe it or not, I do too. But let's hear from you.
But I also think the vicissitudes, that's just the way it is.
The vicissitudes?
Yeah, you get up in the morning.
Yeah.
You do a morning routine and you think, okay, today's going to be okay. I'm going to make my coffee. I'm going to make my tea. I'm going to do my meditation. Whatever one's morning, I'm going to let the dog out. I'm going to yawn, whatever you do in the morning. And you think, okay, I've got this. And then you open the newspaper, you open the cell phone, or you look on the computer and all of a sudden, it's a gut punch on average. And then you kind of get yourself back up. I feel like you and I, the Klatch is a microcosm. We come in here and I usually complain at the beginning.
No, you don't.
I'm like, here we go.
Heather, no, you
Epstein,
are not.
Trump.
You are not a complainer.
You don't think so?
No, you are not. You are actually upbeat.
Oh, okay.
Most people, don't you think Heather is basically upbeat?
Basically upbeat.
Put this in the
The
comments.
name of my memoir.
No,
because that's a little bit of a diss.
No, you are upbeat.
No, okay.
I'm the one who's. I'm much more downbeat.
But in a given Klatch,
yeah,
I feel like you find it, and I think it's because you find your way back up, though.
Well, I hope that's the case because I think that's metaphorically what we all have been trying to do.
Yeah.
This year is find our way back up.
Right.
Let's get to the questions.
Okay, let's get to a question. So we have a whole bunch, and we've tried to, Michael on our team, we kind of just quickly threw some down from all over the place. So thank you all. I think here's a good one. I mean, all of these are going to be tap into the appalling nature of things. But we're going to get through it together. Okay, so one is we had Sarah on Blue Sky. How is all of this corruption happening? Why is this our reality now? Why is a criminal allowed to run our country? Is it really that complex? Money, money, money? Is this the answer?
Well, it's money. I mean, follow the money. We have known this since the Nixon administration. Before that, we knew it. But there is a great deal of money. Washington has become a glittering center of global capitalism, and not Wall Street any longer. It is Washington, D.C. And the corruption in the current administration, the Trump administration, is beyond any corruption I have ever witnessed or seen. And it also centers on Trump's own kind of malignant, narcissistic bloviation. I mean, yesterday, I don't think you got this news, he actually changed the name of Washington, D.C. to Washington, D.T. Donald
Stop
Trump.
it, Bob.
Well, I mean, it's that kind of absurdity. When he put his
I
name
almost
on the
believed
when
you
he
for a second.
put his name on the Kennedy Center. I mean, that was
horrific.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
But is it really unbelievable?
It's the Kennedy Center is supposed to be a memorial
I know.
to the memory. That's what a memorial is. A memorial is about
you don't
memory.
add a carrot and then stick your own
You
name
don't
in
put
there.
your name if you are still alive, and you don't,
Paint over the
as
old
a
one.
president, put your name on it. I mean, he said he thanked the trustees, but he named every single one of the trustees of the Kennedy Center, and he named the chair. He's the chair. It's sickening. This is part of the corruption. I mean, you can't just look at the money. You have to also look at the unbridled narcissism behind the money. You've got to look at the billionaires behind Trump who put him into office, who are now getting tax relief and regulatory relief and getting no-bid contracts, and the Koch brothers and the Ellisons and Elon Musk and all of these people who really are draining the public, our money, our treasure, our kind of integrity, our public integrity.
And then you have, combined with that, you have all these MAGA sycophants, right? So you have the backbone, which is all these billionaires. You have the system, which is set up to support those billionaires and has been, the things that were trying to block it have been kind of chipped away. And then you have all these people just saluting.
And this is where I get to my optimism.
Already?
Okay.
This is great.
I want to just put an optimistic note down because this corruption has been growing for years. I mean, I was in Bill Clinton's cabinet. I was part of the Carter administration. I, went back to the Ford administration, back to James K. Polk, and Lincoln.
Wow.
But corruption is not new. It has grown. It is much worse. Even before Trump.
But we knew about it and we set up systems to try to avoid it. We didn't want a monarch. We didn't want one person in charge of everything.
But the systems were already breaking down. Mm-hmm. The amount of money going into our politics already before Trump was horrendous. And my silver lining, you ready? Is that the exposure of the corruption, the blatancy of the corruption, the fact that you've got these billionaires who are appearing at the Trump inauguration, who are writing him checks for his ballroom, writing him checks for whatever he wants, and cozying up to him because he is so corrupt himself, is revealing the degree of corruption. I believe that that is the first stage toward fundamental reform.
Yes.
I believe that after this administration, it's not going to happen before, but after this administration, this regime is finished, we are going to have a tidal wave, a tsunami of fundamental reform in terms of money and corruption.
And I believe you.
Well, I'm glad you believe me.
I think it's going to.
I almost believe me too.
I'm choosing to believe you.
Well, I want you to believe me.
I
because
do.
I think it's true.
Okay, so another question. We kind of have themes. We have a bunch of people. It was so interesting to see what the themes of people writing it about. So one is like, how long is this going to go on? I think that was in a lot of questions. Well, yeah. I mean, for example, Hatman on Blue Sky. I mean, these are so fun. Hatman says, what is the tipping point that could turn representatives against Trump and take back control? Let me add one more. Substack, Keith Olson said, how much longer will the Republicans continue to let this happen? So a lot of it is a timing question. And
well, I think that we're seeing the Republicans turning already. I mean, even over the last 2 weeks, we've seen a number of Republicans saying on issues ranging from Venezuela and bombing the boats to Jeffrey Epstein, to, all kinds of things, even unionization of government employees.
And some gerrymandering.
And clearly on gerrymandering. I mean, look at Indiana. These Republicans are saying, no, we are not going there. We've had it. We don't need Trump anymore. And we don't need to be we don't need to be scared of Trump. This is a big deal.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to continue to happen in 2026 to an even greater extent.
Yeah. You look great, by the way.
You look great.
Did I
tell you you look great?
I love that Substack of yours.
Thank you.
If people haven't read that Substack, it was so good. Basically, who was it? I mean, you said someone Whipple.
Yes, it's Fred Whipple. And Fred Whipple was the head of the observatory at Harvard for 70 years. And
wow.
70 years. And the last time I saw Fred, he was in his 90s. He was not feeling well. He was kind of grumpy. And I said, you look great.
And he said, BS.
And he said, I feel like shit.
Yeah.
And I look like shit. And I said, no, you look really good, Fred. And he said, there are 4 stages of human life. There is youth, up to 40, age 40. There is middle age from 40 to 60. There is older age from 60 to 80. And then there is you look great.
Oh, it's so good. I love that. Okay, so next questions. Let's get to...
I'm almost at you look great, by the way.
Or
I'm almost
technically.
there.
You mean technically in terms of the numbers. But I think you look great.
I think you look great.
Okay, so then... another series of questions that came in are, how do we get Democrats to listen? So this is the subject head. But let me give you a specific one. Steve Sawyer on Blue Sky says, because the Democratic leadership isn't leading, I feel we're seeing a true grassroots opposition developing, completely independent from the Democratic Party. Is this feeling simply because I live in a liberal progressive bubble? Or, if it's real, what are the odds the Democratic Party follows this?
Well, it is partly because you are living in a liberal Democratic bubble.
Steve.
But I do see evidence of an upsurge among progressive Democrats fighting the corporate and Wall Street Democrats. That's really been a fight that has gone on. I have been involved in it for 40 years. The corporate Wall Street Democrats do tend to have more influence because they have more money, and money talks even in the Democratic Party. Obviously, that's what the Democratic National Committee is all about, raising money.
Yep.
But I think it's turning around. I think that Zohran Mamdani's election in New York City was a beginning. I think the mayor of Seattle, Katie Wilson, also is a very important step. but also the special elections and the lower
and state legislatures and young people coming in Florida and Texas.
A lot of them are coming in not because the Democratic Party officially tagged them, but because they are coming up from the grassroots. And a lot of and again, I want to stress that there is this progressive tug. Here is another part of my silver lining. I don't think it would have happened except for Trump. I think Trump has forced the party to I'm not even just going to say left, toward the progressive side.
I do think that there were people who were ready for this kind of thing, but I think it has forced their hand and it has made them come together faster, more efficiently. I mean, I'm watching all these young progressives, and they are trying to do stuff at the state levels. There are many organizations, many PACs, many nonprofits just going in and saying, what do we do? And people are standing up. Can I tell you all about, we got this bowl of hope from Fern, who has Fern's Garden on Solano in Berkeley. Sorry to be so Berkeley specific, but if you get a bowl of hope,
Fern,
you get a bowl of hope.
Thank you for your hope.
And so she said she saw The Last Class, the film about your final semester of teaching in Berkeley at the Elmwood Rialto. And she said, I've been making these in my studio kiln ever since. And these are just little buttons of hope. And so I think every time we find something hopeful, I'm just going to look at these buttons, or I'm going to take one out. How about we take them out and we put them in, and maybe we have a bowl full at the end. So you've had two bowls of hope.
But there are a lot of bowls of hope. What is inspiring Fern and many other people around the country in terms of activism and organizing and mobilizing and energizing people, again, is the sense that if we don't do it, nobody will.
Yep.
That it's up to us. We are the leaders we've been waiting for.
And then you see at a No Kings rally, and there's another one planned for 2026, you say, oh, if I don't do it, no one else will, but someone else had that same thought. And so here we come together.
This is the best form of politics. Now, I don't want to sound like a roaring, cockeyed, positive, rosy-colored glass, but out of the ruins of this 2025 may come, hopefully, not only a surge that takes back the House and the Senate in 2026, but also a new understanding of what democracy is all about, what the rule of law is all about, what due process is all about. All of these things that were abstractions now because of Trump and his minions and his sycophants and his lapdogs, we actually know what it means not to have these things.
Right. And I think they come into the fore. It's like they're in stark relief now in a way they weren't.
Stark relief. That's a good way of putting it.
And we needed it. Okay, fine. I'll put one. This is probably not what you do for a podcast, is have a sound like this, Michael. Okay, I won't.
No, I like the sound effect.
Okay, so one person said, why did you two decide to do the Klatch? Why did we decide to do it? I'm trying to think. Did we decide to do it, or did we just do it?
I think I remember. We were having breakfast at Sol's in Berkeley.
For once.
For many times. And we had, an animated discussion like we're having now about what was happening during the week. And you said, or Elliot Kirshner, who, by the way, directed The Last Class, said, why don't you guys do this regularly? I mean, why don't you do this? Just turn on the mics.
I remember we were working with Kara at the time, who's so fabulous, one of our colleagues. And she was like, yeah, you could try it. And then do you remember we said, we did it. She was like, you already did it? And it was just us at your desk turning on a mic.
I think this is another reason that I want to thank you guys, because we did try this as an experiment. We didn't know anybody out there would be interested in hearing us, particularly every week.
I thought you were going to say particularly you.
Particularly me.
No, me.
Oh, no. Heather, you add just so much energy. I'm an old fart. Can I just say that?
Stop it.
I am. I'm almost.
You look great.
You look great. And you look great.
You look great.
But
it was just, we just decided
it's a community. There is, again, I'm going to go back to the same kind of silver lining. There's a community out there.
And I think there's value in co-processing.
Co-processing? What does that mean?
Processing together.
Yeah.
You know, you and I saying what happened this week, and you all put stuff in the comments, and then we think, is that maybe we get, we pull a thread that's a new video we're going to make, or we figure out something different by having a conversation.
Clearly, we have been all going through something horrible together this year. And the fact that we are all going through it together makes it almost bearable. That is, I hear from people all the time who feel that they're very lonely, especially people in red cities, in red states. They feel like they are endangered, some of them, but even more commonly, they just feel like they are crazy, that they are out of step. And what we are doing here and what we're trying to do with our videos, but what we're trying to do generally is to make sure that people know that they're not alone, that they're not crazy, that actually most people in America still believe in the ideals that animated this nation.
So back to this series of questions on the Dems. What can the Dems do? What can I do vis-a-vis the Dems? What should they focus on? A number of people asked, what would your advice be to the Democratic Party, said Courtney Fay on Facebook, for example. And I think immigration has got to be paid attention to more. I mean, you and I have talked about this, but it has been so egregious. And affordability. What's
been egregious about immigration? There's almost zero immigration now.
Right. Well, that anyone who has previously immigrated is now being
clearly
extricated.
Yes, extricated is exactly right. And what Stephen Miller, who is the brains behind Trump's immigration policy and the Homeland Security, what they're doing now is going after people who are here legally, who are on green cards or who are naturalized citizens. This is a slippery slope. We know it's a slippery slope, and it's just the same slippery slope having to do with bombing boats in the Caribbean. We have got to stand up. The Democrats have to stand up. Independents have to stand up and say, no, we are a nation of immigrants. My great-grandparents came over here in the 1880s. Your ancestors came over here, I'm sure.
You.
Or you came over here. Some not voluntarily.
Right.
Some were forced to be here. Some came because they had no other choices. Some because they wanted a new life. America is built on immigration.
And
on
I think
immigrants.
Many people are very mad about what's happening with ICE.
I think it's the closest we've come in my lifetime to a domestic police force, a domestic terror force. There is no due process. They continue to make arrests, and they are disguising themselves. They're disguising their names. There is no accountability. They're going to the courts where a lot of people who are here because they have a right to be here, to even have their cases adjudicated, are going, and they are being arrested by ICE. This is going on right under our noses. What should Democrats do? Democrats, if they're in Congress, they have got to fight this. They've got to show on television more and more examples of what's happening. We as individuals, we have got to take videos of what's happening when we see it. We've got to alert our neighbors and friends to where ICE is in our neighborhoods. We've got to protect innocents. There are people, Heather, in my community who I've known for years, hardworking, wonderful people, who are now afraid to venture out of their homes and afraid to have their children venture out of their homes because they are technically undocumented. This is a terror state. And we, not just the Democrats who are officials, but we, all of us, have a responsibility.
And schools, I have to give a shout out to school districts because I feel like so many school districts are trying to hold information sessions, trying to offer support. I mean, they're already doing so much food support and nutrition support around the holidays, but I've seen a lot around this particular issue, and Dems need to own it for what it is and say, not okay. Someone else, can I ask you this? Someone from YouTube, AZSage113, says, I have a question I've been asking for months and I never get a good answer. If birthright citizenship goes away, then what makes the average American a citizen?
Well, that's a very good logical question, because if you can't be a citizen because your parents were not born here, what about your grandparents? What about your great-grandparents? What makes me a citizen? My great-grandparents were not born here. Where do you draw the line?
Yep.
And that's exactly what we're talking about. Because if Trump and Stephen Miller and Russell Vogt and J.D. Vance have their way, it's just white, Christian, male, straight, nationalist fanatics.
And that's another thing the Dems need to be saying. This is racist. This is horrific. This is exactly what this is. This is bigotry.
It's bigotry. That word is very important. And that's now splitting even some of the MAGAs. Over the last couple of weeks, there have been a number of instances where there have been fights among the MAGA faithful between those who say Tucker Carlson and Nick Fuentes, perfectly okay to be bigoted, perfectly okay to be racist, perfectly okay to be xenophobic and misogynist, and others who are saying no.
Yep.
And then J.D. Vance says, we have a big tent. We think it's fine. We invite the bigots and the non-bigots. You can't invite the bigots. America must say no to bigotry. Democrats have got to say no to bigotry just as loudly as they possibly can.
I know it's true. So one thing I struggle with is the fact that I feel like you're a very logical person.
You actually majored in
I love logic. I love logic and I love studying.
What did you love about, or what do you love about
It's puzzles.
logic?
It's so great. You have premises and then a conclusion, and then you get to diagram things on a Venn diagram and see what exists and what doesn't exist. I think it's so fun.
Well,
and then you get to do derivations and you get to
I have a law
down.
degree, and I was in the class, by the way, at Yale Law School with Clarence Thomas and Bill Clinton and Hillary Rodham Clinton. And law has its own logic, and it kind of parallels.
But here, how do
your
we?
education.
I feel like we're trying to dialogue, we're trying to address with logic insanity, emotionality, extreme hate, lying. I mean, it's so hard to truck with these two things. I struggle with that.
Well, I think one way of understanding it is that, and as a teacher for 44 years or so, I remember often struggling with this issue, and I finally understood the way you educate is by appealing both to the brain and to the emotions. One or the other won't work. And unfortunately, what we have here in Trump is somebody who appeals to the emotions, and he appeals to the brain by lying. And he uses the emotions and the anger that people feel because, frankly, most Trump followers have been they've been shafted by the system for 40 years. And they're angry, and they have every right to be angry.
And he has rallies. I mean, he really was good at kind of...
And he is still good at rallying, but what he does is he takes that anger and channels it into hate and bigotry instead of logic. And I think that I would like to think people are catching on. His polls are just yes, but you can make noise. His polls are dropping like lead balloons.
Oh, I know. On all fronts.
On all fronts. This is another aspect of what we should actually celebrate, if there is anything to celebrate at the end of this year.
I think there is. Well, so can we just look ahead a little bit and say, people want to know what they should do. I mean, they want to know what comes next. So that would be nice if we could be psychic and just tell everyone what's coming next.
Okay, let me
channel it.
Put my psychic Carmack. Do you remember Johnny? You don't. It's too early.
Of course, Johnny Carson.
When he did the Carmack, the Magnificent. Okay, I'm now channeling the future.
But so questions are, can we redeem our world status, and what do we...
The answer is yes.
Besides Sauron,
Yes.
are there any other politicians we have our eyes on? And if so, what are you hoping they'll do
The answer
after
is
the midterms?
yes.
Again?
Yes.
Wow. Thank you.
Well, I think there are a number of leaders emerging in the Democratic Party and even independents. We don't know exactly who they are because they don't emerge full-blown until we get within 2 years of a presidential race.
And even closer to the midterms, right? I mean, we know what's happening, but it's going to be interesting to see who really rises to the top.
Yeah, but I'm very encouraged by many of them. I'm encouraged also. It's easy to forget that just you can make noise when you put hope.
No, Michael, to make.
Okay, it was not that many years ago. 2016, Bernie Sanders was running for president. People thought it was a joke, a democratic socialist. He came within a hair's breadth of getting the nomination.
I do like to think about that.
And then he ran again in 2020, came very, very close. Had the DNC, the Democratic National Committee, not been against him, he might have won the nomination. Had he won the nomination, Bernie Sanders might be president today. You have other people, AOC, Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez, who embodies, to me, some of the best and most articulate and cogent aspects of the Democratic Party.
Yep.
You have, again, Zoran Mamdani. You have, across the country, Democrats, young people who are coming up through the ranks with courage, with strength. And I think it is...
And with serious communication abilities.
Yes.
So important.
It is.
Because Trump has been a star communicator. Disgusting.
Yeah.
But so watching these people who get digital, which is something you and I work in, I mean, we're trying to ride the waves of social media.
Well, I think one thing we've learned is that you've got to really be firm, bold. You've got to have conviction. You've got to be able to convey that conviction. You have got to be able to be authentic. Unfortunately, Donald Trump looked like, and he still seems to many people to be authentic, and he's a con man. Yeah. Absolutely a con man. So you've got to be authentic and hopefully not anybody who distorts the truth.
One thing that I was buoyed by was this fabulous consultant came in. She's just one individual person who said, I am going to help you, Team Zoran Mamdani, and get people off of Instagram and into the streets, doing canvassing, doing volunteering, doing phone calling. And she was able to get 40,000 people from Instagram, because the whole thing is these social media companies, they own everything. They close down today. I don't know how to get in touch with any of our tens of thousands of followers. And so she was able to get them from Instagram and get people motivated and out into the street. Now that sounds like, oh, that can't be that hard. It's incredibly hard to do at scale. And so things like that, where I watch different things happen this year, and I see how nimble people are, and I see how hungry they are.
Look how well you and Elliot did with the movie.
The movie has been great.
It was interesting, because I kept on asking you, and
I know.
We're talking about the last class.
The last class about Bob's final semester of teaching.
I kept on asking you, how do we distribute? How are you going to distribute this? And you said, don't worry. You didn't really know, but you kept on saying, don't worry. Well, you and Elliot devised ways of getting it out there, and it took off. Yep. And it is continuing to take off.
Yep. So it'll show, well, now I'm going to take this opportunity. So it shows through February. And here's I'm asking for 2 things. 3 places. So it's coming to Austin on January 27th at the Paramount, huge theater. If you all are in Austin, we want you all to come out to the Paramount. Ellie and I plan to go there. We plan to go to the next day, the 28th, in Dallas. It's playing at the State Theater. We want people in Dallas to come out to that movie. And then it's also in Bend, Oregon. That's another place where we're not going to Bend, but there will be speakers there.
Now, I've heard that it's going to Alabama.
Yeah, it's going to be in Birmingham in the first week of February. Dates to be determined. Bend is January 19th. So all of this is on the website, thelastclassfilm.com.
Thelastclassfilm.com.
But the watch along was so great. So we did the watch along, and I know so many of you joined it. I just thought that was so cool. So we should do another one of those.
How many people joined us in the watch along?
So over 50,000, but we had a peak live watch. We had one moment where the most people watching at that moment was over 37,000 of us on our laptops at home. We had people. It was so fun to get. Thank you for completing the survey. If anyone completed the survey, who watched it alone? Who watched it with other people? Who watched it on laptops? Who watched it on TVs?
We should do it again.
We should do it again.
We should do it again.
We're going to do it again.
But it reminds me this year, another factor, another aspect of this year was the demonstrations. I mean, the No Kings demonstrations, the second one, well, the first one was 4.5 million people. The second one was 7.2 million people. That is the largest demonstration in American history. Heather. I mean, and if there is a third, I think it's going to be
There is going to be
large.
a third. And also, this coming year is the 250th anniversary of our country. A lot to reckon with and figure out, obviously. But I think that's a moment, too. And I know Trump has all this stuff planned, and it's UFC fights, and it's all, kind of grim and evil and, just very... Trumpian. And so let's do some other stuff. I want to think about, what do we have to say on the 250th anniversary? I want to think about, let's put our stuff on billboards. Let's do new stuff in 2026.
Well, it's
Now's
also
the
an opportunity to talk about what this country really means, what our ideals really are, what we are committed to, and also why we love this country. Now, that sounds Frank Capra corny, but I do love this country. It has unbelievable faults, and the Trump regime is showing it at its ugliest. But I think what is good about America is much more than what is bad about America.
Right.
And I think it's an opportunity. We're going to run out of those.
That's my dream, to run out of the hope.
We need more.
Hope stones.
It's just an opportunity to remind all of us, and remind ourselves about what patriotism really means.
And you've said this a number of times, or thousands maybe, the importance of dialogue. So it's not just what you and I find what have been the faults of this country, but how we still find it within ourselves to still love this country. But it's that other people are seeing that. And it's people of different ages and faiths and races and, professions, just all of these.
Classes.
In classes. And so I want to create something where we're looking at these different people are saying, I still believe in America.
Well, it's an opportunity, and I think we'll take it. And one of the themes of this particular end-of-year session has been the irony, paradox of how Trump has created opportunities.
Yep.
One thing I did want to say, and you reminded me, was that it's important for all of us on the Democratic progressive side to remember that the MAGA faithful really are not bad people. I mean, they're people who have succumbed to Trump's lies. But again, we need to be empathic to the extent that we understand. They have been shafted for 40 years. They have been on the losing end of the power struggle in this country as more and more wealth and more power move to the top. The people behind Trump are the billionaires, the oligarchs, the people who really are making out like bandits, who are corrupting the system and have been corrupting the system for years. The people who are really in need are the people who are working job to job, paycheck to paycheck, the majority of Americans. This is no longer a large middle class. This is a nation that has a shrinking middle class with a group of people at the top who are taking advantage and exploiting the rest of us, and more people who are just barely holding on.
Yep.
That's what the affordability crisis is all about.
Yep.
We were talking a moment ago about Democratic themes, Democratic Party, progressive themes. Well, tie affordability to all of the other issues we have been talking about. That's what Democrats need to do.
And you have what I'm hearing feels like empathy. And this is something that Trump doesn't have. And so I think reminding ourselves that, allow people to have the dignity to be who they are, but also, certain things we can't, are not allowed, right? You can't, racism, you can't have.
No, you can't have, you can't have, you can have empathy for people who are misguided and misled. This is not about tolerating racism or bigotry.
No.
That's very different.
Right.
I don't think we should tolerate.
No, we can't. But I do think we've got to find, we've got to find people and say, we are seeing the same things here. He is trying to pretend that we don't. But if he's saying lies and not actually trying to do affordability, make your life affordable, let's pay attention to that.
Well, this is another reason.
You're going to put a stone in the old bowl.
But what I'm about to say is that when Trump keeps on saying the economy is doing wonderfully well and that everybody is prospering and we've never had it so good,
right,
most people know it's a lie because they have the daily experience of seeing prices, of being consumers, of struggling in this economy.
Right.
So he can't get away with it.
Right. Okay. So on Threads, for example, a Meta product, we have Z Cayenne. Of course we do. Per the mainstream news, Black Friday was record-breaking, and then eye roll emoji. Could it be people are paying more because prices are higher? If I spent $3 on coffee before and now it costs $10, that's record-breaking. Wink emoji. It doesn't mean the economy is good, just prices are higher. I hope that makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense.
Chin scratching emoji.
It makes a lot of sense because everybody is paying more for most goods and services.
And around the holidays, we've seen these lists. The 30 most popular things are all over 20% on average more expensive.
Because of the Trump tariffs and because of a labor shortage in terms of construction and food preparation, processing, and actually the restaurants.
Yeah.
So people are in trouble. And that labor shortage that I just referred to is because of Trump's immigration policies.
Yep.
So you put all that together and everything costs more.
Right. And Mitt Romney wants to be taxed more. He told us that this week.
I thought that was actually
that was nice.
Amusing.
Yeah.
Because it seems like ancient history now when Mitt Romney ran for president.
Yeah. He still has money is his point. He just wanted you to know that.
Does.
Yeah.
I'm sure he does. The marginal tax rate on the super rich has not been down this low since before Harry Truman.
No, I didn't know that.
And for the rich to claim that they can't pay more is absurd.
Well, exactly.
So again, one of the reasons for hope.
Michael, I'm sorry.
One of the reasons for hope at the end of 2025 going into 2026 is that people understand that the billionaire class is not only behind a lot of this, but also is doing extraordinarily well. We need a wealth tax. We need to make sure that they pay their fair share. There's no way we can get the national debt and the deficit down and do everything we need to do as the richest country in the world for all the people that need help. I mean, childcare and elder care and Medicare for all and all of the things that every other country provides.
Yep.
The paid family leave. This is absurd that we are not providing it in this country. And we can provide it if the rich pay their fair share of the taxes.
Right. So we had a question here. I think we might have just answered Vern's question from Facebook. Can you create a balanced budget that provides universal health care and universal childcare and a national housing strategy? I'm assuming the numbers would come from the untapped billionaire citizens, possibly starting with tax percentages similar to pre-tax cuts for them.
Yes.
blah, blah, blah. If you find money, maybe add free education. Instead of keeping people scared of social hybrid politics, show how it is possible.
Well, not only is it possible, but we did it, Heather. I mean, this is something that people forget. Even as recently as the pandemic, we brought childhood poverty down to half. We halved it by 50%. Now it's back up again because a lot of those subsidies having to do with the pandemic were withdrawn.
Yeah.
But it shows us that poverty, even child poverty, is a political decision.
Yep.
It's a political choice. Hunger is a political choice. Lack of housing, lack of affordability is a political choice. We can change it. And what Democrats have to do, and forget the corporate Democrats, forget the financial Wall Street Democrats that are never going to ever support this. But what Democrats must do is simply show America what we could be and the kind of lives we could lead if we reorganize the economy.
Yeah. And I feel like we try and show in videos what this looks like, create the future.
We will do even
could be
more
here.
in 2026.
Here's an education question from Blue Sky, Jackie. What do you see as the future of higher education in the U.S.?
Well, I think the future of higher education begins with the crown jewel of the entire system, which is the community colleges of America. They are the unsung heroes. They do most of the work of training, developing, investing in the human capital of poor families, working class families. They make it possible for a third of my students, juniors and seniors at Berkeley, were transfer students from community colleges. The University of California system is the biggest engine of upward mobility in the entire country. We ought to do more of it. We ought to make it more affordable.
Yeah.
And I think that the future of higher education basically is on the model of the community colleges.
Yeah.
That is inexpensive, accessible to all.
Yeah. Speaking of, so the last class, our film, we're trying to get it to more schools, including community colleges. Mark Hamill reached out and said, I would see the film. And so we've sent it to him. We haven't heard back yet, but he went to LACC, Los Angeles City College. And right now on the website, thelastclassfilm.com, we're encouraging people, if you're affiliated with a university, if you're faculty, administrator, staff, whatever it might be, student, we're trying to get the film to more schools. And we have a discussion guide that people can use.
One thing that encourages me about
Ooh, we're going to run out.
this year is your salesmanship. Heather, when you talk about things that we are doing, and you are, again, saluting you, you are the executive director of Inequality Media and Inequality Media Civic Action, and you are the producer of the film, The Last Class, and you get into these things, and everybody out there sees it. You see Heather's enthusiasm. You see her power.
Motivated by you.
No, I'm just.
Yes. But the movie's been fun. That watch along was fun. And so this coming year, we want to try. The team we work with is so nimble and so committed and so willing to try new things and risk seeking in a very healthy way because we are able to test so much before we do things.
Well, Inequality Media Civic Action, the entire team. And there are only 10 of us.
Yeah.
I think when I last looked.
I'm trying to hire a few more.
Well, it's everybody is punching so far above their weight. And I am grateful, enormously grateful.
And we're grateful for you for showing up and letting us, I don't know, it's a partnership. It's
you
so
look great.
Terrific. Thank you, but you wrote the book on looking great. You wrote the Substack on looking great.
I did.
Last week. Okay, on Facebook, couple more questions. These are labor questions. Have to do it. Paul from Facebook. Local 354 Salt Lake City. Being in a union in a red state is strange. Many of the members are very proud to be union, yet they vote against their own interests at the ballot boxes. My question is, how should an individual show them that they're voting against their own interests?
Well, it's a good question, Paul, from Salt Lake. I think the easiest and most direct way of showing people what their own economic interests, and this is what we're talking about. People very often are pushed into doing things that are against their economic interests because they are seduced by bigotry, by emotional pitches, by lies. And I think that it's important for the rest of us who are not in the Trump administration, who are not part of this billionaire class, to get the data, get the facts across. It's not that difficult, Heather. You and I do these videos, and with our colleagues, and they're fact-based.
Yeah.
They're visual, they're interesting. We have got to do more of them.
Yeah.
Because as we go into 2026, my hope is that, and again, the Democrats and progressive Democrats take over both houses of Congress, that they, along with independents, really restrain Trump and create the space for some really progressive policies.
Will you write a children's book with me?
Of course.
Why?
We should do that. How? What?
Well, we can details.
I think that our children need to be educated in civic virtue, in what it means to be a citizen.
And just some examples of the common good.
And what we owe each other as members of the same society. This also is becoming something that is clear as a question because of Trump. Mm-hmm. Some of us always asked us I'm
ourselves
not a Pollyanna,
that.
but I do think that by these dark periods of time, this dark year, is bringing out so many of these questions.
Yep.
And young people who I teach, and even younger people who I know, grandchildren of my friends and my own grandchild, they're activists and they're asking these questions. What does it mean to be a member of this society?
And what is the larger purpose, right? Isn't there something above me?
Yes.
That's not evil.
Exactly. What's the larger meaning of a society? Mm-hmm. Why do we join together? And what is our responsibility to the rest of the world?
Yep. Okay, let's see. A couple more things. What can we do? And then, I love this. A couple people said, is there anything positive? I need to hear something optimistic.
No,
is that possible? I know, we've done it.
Look at.
You've been pretty optimistic.
I've been upbeat because I do feel upbeat. Right. I feel that we survived 2025. I feel as though it could have been far worse. It has been cruel,
and
unusual,
it's been worse than you thought.
Awful.
Said.
It's when we came into this year, when Donald Trump was just about inaugurated, I knew it was going to be bad, Heather. It has been worse than I expected. He has, with the acquiescence and of a Republican Congress, done really almost transformed this country.
And the global impact, too, we have to mention, especially because of DOGE and USAID.
Well, USAID is a moral collapse. We were doing so much good through USAID at a very low cost.
I know.
Many people assume that it's a big portion of the federal budget. Foreign aid was a little bit more than 0.5% of the federal budget.
And it was this kind, you hate to do, but when you study public policy, you have to think about where is the money going. But it was such a good use of dollars to save lives. We had programs that were proven to work, nutrition programs for children and maternal health strategies, so fewer women were dying in childbirth. Just so many.
It was important. It is good. We can and should revive it when sane people once again run the government.
I hope that happens.
But it was not only good in terms of the recipients of the aid. It was also good because, as Joseph Nye, professor at Harvard, used to say, America's soft power is as important, if not more important, than our hard power. It's not our bombs. It's not our bullets. It's our moral authority in the world that is critical.
And
to our own national
trustworthiness.
security. Yeah. So I think that is something that was sacrificed
Yeah.
and was a horrible part of this year.
Right.
I don't know about you, Heather, and we should probably wind this up pretty soon.
Think it's 2026. Did the ball drop? No. It's been here a while.
But let me first of all, may I thank you?
Yes, a second time?
A third time, fourth time.
Oh,
fifth time.
who's counting?
I want to
Wait,
thank.
we have two. Should we put? Okay,
Yes,
I'm just going to
let's put
throw
the
these
rest
in
of
there
these.
so that we're done. I'm so glad that you and I meet for coffee. We'll continue to do it,
We
right?
will of course, we're going to continue to do it.
This is the last one of 2025,
This
but
is
let's
the last
launch
of
into 2026.
2025. And I also want to thank all our colleagues at Inequality Media Civic Action. I want to thank today Nick Blonde has been behind the camera, as well as our colleague Michael Lahanas Calderon.
Michael's such a star.
Michael is a star.
He's a star.
And Naomi Bradford has done editing for us. Vish Shankar was here.
Yeah, and has done so much
recently.
research for us. I mean, the whole team. Dan Davis.
And Katie
Kyle
Milne.
Parker.
Katie Milne.
Katie
Do
Milne.
you know that Katie Milne's, she has a relative. Do you know A.A. Milne?
Yeah,
Winnie the Pooh?
yeah,
That's Katie Milne's.
yeah. Well, he's
not-
the author of Winnie the Pooh.
Yes. That's what
He's
I
not
meant.
Winnie himself.
He isn't. Anyway, she's related to A.A. Milne. But I want to thank all of our colleagues and all of our good friends. And I want to thank you. It has been a hell of a year. It's been maybe the worst year I remember in terms of public policy and in terms of leadership. The person in the Oval Office is let us be clear and not mince words, a loathsome individual. And it's not just his character and temperament that are loathsome. His instincts and the policies that are emitting from the Oval Office and around him through people like Stephen Miller and people who are in his cabinet, RFK Jr., and our secretaries, Noam and Rubio and others. We could not have, in my humble opinion, a more dangerous group of people. But what I want to reassure you about is a couple of things. Number one, although you obviously, like me, like Heather, have had moments of real true despair, you are not alone. You are not crazy. A majority of Americans, if the polls, and I'm not talking about one poll, I'm talking about polls across the board, can be believed, most people in this country think the direction we're now going in is wrong, is immoral, and is dangerous. If democracy means anything at all, if the idea of self-government means anything at all, and it must, this regime will not continue to have free rein as it has in 2025. You and your organizing and mobilizing and your energizing have had a huge impact on restraining, on beginning at least to restrain this regime. It's because of you, starting with the No Kings demonstrations and your boycotts of companies that are enabling this administration and that are shafting their workers, and your telephone calls to your members of Congress, and you're attending the meetings, the town halls of your members of Congress, and you're creating good trouble, and you're voting and you're organizing and mobilizing for critical special elections and mayoral and gubernatorial elections, you are the real stars. You are the leaders we've been waiting for. And so if there is a hero in 2025, it's you. Thank you.